Very good. Okay, your next witness.
State will call Jacqueline Ong.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you shall give the court and the jury in the trial of this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your first and last name and spell your last name loudly, clearly into the microphone.
Jacqueline Ong, O-N-G.
Good morning, Miss Ong. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Well, thank you. Could you please tell our jury where you're employed
North Charleston Police Department.
and how long have you been with the North Charleston Police Department?
A little over 2 years.
And a little over how long?
2 years?
2 years. And what have you been doing since you've been at the North Charleston Police Department?
I began as patrol, and then I transferred to the Forensic Investigative Unit.
And how long have you been in the Forensic Investigative Unit?
About 2 years.
And so you basically what's called a crime scene investigator, correct?
Yes, sir.
You have any previous law enforcement experience before coming to North Charleston?
Yes.
Where did you work then?
I worked at the Folly Beach Police Department.
And why did you change departments?
More opportunities and the Forensic Unit. That's where I wanted to proceed to.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to Saturday, April the 4th of 2015. Did you have the occasion on that morning to respond to an officer-involved shooting in the area behind Megapon on Rivers Avenue?
I did.
How did you become involved?
My sergeant at the time texted me saying there was an officer-involved shooting, and I was to assist him.
And who was your sergeant at the time?
Scott Wyant.
And Mr. Wyant was the one that testified just before you, correct?
Yes.
What did you do upon receiving this text?
Put my uniform on and began driving en route to the scene.
And to where exactly did you respond?
Initially, I drove to the front of the pawn shop and then was advised to follow Sergeant Wyant around to where I was needed, or we were needed.
Okay, so you saw Sergeant Wyant when you drove up in front of the pawn shop?
Yes.
And where did y'all eventually go, and how did you eventually approach the crime scene?
We drove up Remount, turned onto Craig, and drove up to the field area where the
Where the
incident.
yellow road is?
Yes.
Okay. And did y'all park inside the lot where the yellow road was?
Yes.
Did you and Sergeant Wyant arrive in separate vehicles,
Yes.
but were there at about the same time?
Yes.
Do you recall what time it was when you got on the scene?
Not off the top of my head. I would refer to my report.
If that would refresh your recollection, please do.
Just shy of about 10:30.
Okay. And I'll show you what's previously been marked as State's Exhibit 241. Crime scene log, is that refresh your recollection as to what time you arrived?
Yes.
And what time was that?
10:20.
And what was going on when you arrived at the scene?
Multiple officers with North Charleston were securing the scene, ensuring the perimeters were secure, notifying whom they needed to notify.
command staff there.
Yes.
What was going on with regard to the tent? Tent.
What do you mean with it?
Did you have a tent? Did
Yes,
somebody ask
they
you for a tent?
requested,
Did they
yes.
put the tent
I
up?
was requested to put the tent up, or provide the tent to cover the body.
Okay. You were the only one that had a tent in your crime scene vehicle, is that correct?
Yes.
And why was there a need to put a tent over the body?
There was a small chance of impending rain that day, and also to provide like a barrier of vision from prying eyes.
And who erected the tent? Did you erect the tent?
I did not.
Did anyone on the scene brief you as to what had occurred?
Yes.
And what information had you been provided regarding what had occurred?
There was a traffic stop and a fight incurred and taser deployment, a fight over a taser.
Okay. And then a shooting, I'm assuming?
Yes.
What did you do?
I began with overall photographs of the scene.
What do you mean overall photographs of the scene?
Overall photographs being photographs that depict what the totality of the scene. It's kind of like your normal eye view if you were to arrive and just stand back and just see everything to encompass all in one image.
And the shooting scene was basically a big field, so from all areas of around the perimeter of the field?
Yes, I took overlapping overall images of the scene.
And did you take some photographs of the body of Mr. Scott there at the scene?
Yes.
And how about the cars at Advance Auto?
Yes.
Did you make any attempts to mark or collect any evidence in this?
No,
Why?
it was not my duty.
And why was it not your duty?
The crime scene investigation belonged to SLED.
Was there a lot of activity going on at this crime scene? at the time?
Yes.
Mostly who?
North Charleston officers.
Firemen, correct?
I did not see any firemen.
EMS people?
I don't recall.
Vehicles?
Yes.
Had anyone started marking any potential evidence at the scene?
I did note business cards had been placed as temporary markers prior to my arrival.
Was Officer Slager still on scene when you arrived?
Yes.
Did you speak with him?
No.
You had mentioned that in your initial briefing you had been advised that there had been a taser deployment. Did you observe any evidence of a taser deployment?
Yes.
Did you observe a taser?
No.
Was there a taser on the scene?
I did not see one.
Do you know where the taser involved had gone?
No.
How long did it take SLED's crime scene unit to arrive, if you know?
SLED crime scene arrived at about 12:15, so a few hours.
And do you recall who responded from SLED crime scene?
Yes.
Who was that?
Al Brown and Jamie Johnson.
And what did you do when they arrived?
I advised them what I was told, what I had seen, and what I've done.
Okay. And did you have the occasion to assist the coroner with the body in this case?
Yes.
And in doing so, did you have the occasion to examine the body?
Yes.
What did you observe?
The decedent was supine, or lying on his back. There was evidence of medical intervention having been provided. Noted multiple wounds, and a taser barb still in the back of the decedent.
And where were the gunshot wounds?
The exact location, I can't attest for it. That would be the
general location of the gunshot
medical
wounds,
examiner.
where were they?
Kind of down that side of the decedent.
In a line down the right side of the back?
Yes.
Observe any taser wires in the vicinity of the body?
Yes.
Any taser cartridge in the vicinity of the body, or do you recall?
I believe the cartridges were more on the yellow brick road.
Do you recall seeing a phone in the vicinity of the body?
I do not recall a phone.
And you indicated previously that you took photographs, correct?
Yes.
I'll hand you what's been marked as States Exhibits 65, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 75, 76, 77, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85. Ask if you recognize those photographs. Do they fairly and accurately depict the scene as you found it that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, I believe we would offer those without objection at this time.
No objection, Your Honor.
Are those in addition to what I've admitted already, or the same ones?
There were three in this sequence that were admitted yesterday, Your Honor, and then
What are the numbers of the ones that are you currently admitting?
65, I believe 66 and 67 were admitted yesterday. 68's today, 69, 70.
All right, all of those were admitted without objection. 65, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 75, 76, 77 were admitted earlier today without objection.
Okay. And 77, we also have 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85.
They were admitted earlier today without objection.
Okay. I hand you what's I hand you what's previously been marked as States Exhibits 78 and 79 for identification, and ask if you recognize those photographs.
Yes.
Objection on 403.
Questions whether she identifies the photographs. The objection is overruled.
And do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
those photographs you took of Mr. Scott on the morning in question, is that correct?
Yes.
And did those photographs fairly and accurately depict Mr. Scott as you, in the condition that you found him that morning?
Yes.
I would offer 78 to 79 at this time.
Objection 403.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have you go to the jury room while we take up the matter outside of your presence. All right. What's the basis why they should be admitted?
Your Honor, with regard to State's Exhibit 78, we're admitting this primarily because there's been testimony to the fact that the body was turned over during the course of its medical treatment, and we believe that the location of his feet are relevant to the direction that his body was turned over to. And with regard to 79, the point is to depict the proximity of the phone to the body. The phone being in the decedent's hand as he ran away is very important in this case. I would also add that we are entitled to prove the crime scene, that these photos are not unduly gruesome. There's hardly any blood involved on either of these photographs at all. They are relevant, and I would also point out that that our jury during voir dire said that they would not be affected by disturbing photographs. And I think for all those reasons, they should be admitted.
All right, and summarize those one more time. Summarize what you just said.
Okay. I believe they're relevant to the position of the body as it was turned over to show the proximity of the phone to the body. That I think the case law says that we have the right to establish the crime scene through photographs. And I do not think that they're unduly prejudicial because the photos are not gory at all. There's very little blood to even be seen in them. And our jury's already indicated in voir dire that they would not be affected by gory pictures even if they were gory.
All right. Mr. Savage?
They're up there. They're up there.
Do you have questions? Or do you have arguments?
No, I was, yes.
They're not questions,
So,
arguments.
Your Honor, with respect to 78, it's a 8.5 and 11 by 11 or larger color photograph of the decedent's positioning at the scene, we would suggest that it's quite of questionable relevance in that it does not make the existence of any fact that is of consequence to the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. The record is complete with the fact that Mr. Scott was shot and killed at this location. So we question the relevance of that. And then under 403, there are a number of methods that the state has at its resource, including the testimony that's already been provided by multiple witnesses as to where the injuries were to Mr. Scott and where his location was. In addition, there is a forensic pathologist on their witness list to identify the particular wounds, their location, and what wounds caused his death. We believe that, therefore, under 403, they should be excluded if found relevant because they are cumulative evidence. And we believe if relevant and not cumulative, that they should be excluded because their probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. That is our argument. Has to go to 78 and 79.
If you'll hand those up to me. I've heard some argument from you as to location of certain relevant evidence in these photographs, but of course lawyers can't testify. The reason why we have witnesses is for them to establish facts from which the court can make determinations regarding the evidence. And if you will seek to do that through a witness, rather than through your own argument. You said something about a telephone, I think you did.
Yes,
you were shuffling those exhibits while talking.
And also, Your Honor, is kind of, that's why kind of sequence is important too. Because the photograph that follows this one is this one. And this shows the photograph.
We generally refer to things as exhibit numbers
Yes,
rather
I'm
than this
sorry,
one.
but states exhibit number 79 shows the photo from a distance. This shows states exhibit 80 shows the photo close up.
And what's relevant in number 80?
What's relevant in number 80 is the fact that he had the phone with him at the time that he ran away from Officer Slager at the time that he was shot.
And what's relevant in number, what's that?
And the relevance excuse me, sir, and the relevance in 78 is that it demonstrates that the body has been moved since he went down face first on the video. And we believe it suggests the direction that he was moved because his legs are crossed.
What does that tell us or show us?
Because that is also relevant to the location of the phone to his body. And we would also reiterate the fact, Your Honor, that we just don't believe those photos are very clear.
All right, anything further, Mr. Savage? Yes, sir.
thought that the ones that we had already agreed to would have shown that.
It's the one right after. I think it's 80. Page 80. This is 80 right here. That's the next photo in the sequence.
Should I inquire the witness, Your Honor? We just want to.
Your argument.
So, Judge, we have agreed that State's Exhibit 83 is appropriate to show the location of the feet. And we have agreed with State's Exhibit number 80 to show the location of the phone. We believe that this witness is able to say that that phone was found within whatever distance it was of Mr. Scott.
Which two phones? Rule 403 provides that evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, confusing or misleading the jury, or needless presentation of cumulative evidence, and generally with regard to photographs of crime scenes. Photographs are appropriately admissible if they corroborate testimony or substantiate certain facts and issue, provided that it does not, or they do not, create a tendency to suggest to a jury that a decision be made on an improper basis, commonly considered an emotional basis. Throughout, in this case, there has been substantial testimony, starting with the passenger in the vehicle regarding the telephone and the description of the phone. There's testimony, where was the phone, testimony by Mr. Scott's mother that he was on the phone while she was speaking with him, and he seemed to be in distress, and further testimony that she passed that phone to his son, younger son, who appeared to be in substantial distress. And I find that the probative value outweighs any prejudicial effect, and these are admitted. Those are exhibits number 78 and 79.
Thank you, Your Honor.
With regard to the location of the body, the party stipulated that a photograph of the feet can be admitted, and object to the entire body being admitted. The admitting the photo that includes the body shows the location in a better context and feet alone, and I find it's not cumulative evidence, it's the first of the evidence being offered. It may be cumulative to some testimony, but if it substantiates or may substantiate some testimony, then it's not cumulative. So I admit both photographs over objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I have the state's AD right there? Your Honor.
All right, anything else before the jury comes back?
Just before we get back, also with this witness, I believe you have your record showing 233 and 234 already admitted.
I do.
Okay. Thank you, then I don't need to go in front of that with the jury again.
All right, you can bring them back. Ladies and gentlemen, during the course of the trial, the jury is observed by the court and by the participants, where jurors may appear to be, or may be relaxing with your eyes closed, and pondering and being pensive concerning what you're hearing. If it appears to the court and to the parties that the juror is asleep and it's missing what's taking place, the juror may be removed. We trust that you all will do whatever is necessary to stay alert and attentive, and also give the appearance of being alert and attentive. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could we put our state's exhibit number 65, please? Okay, this would be state's exhibit number 65. Ms. Ahn, could you tell the jury what this depicts?
It depicts an angle showing up remount towards Craig Street and includes, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
What road is that?
Remount. And on the left side of the image, it includes the North Charleston vehicle and Walter Scott's vehicle.
Okay. And are you talking about this location over here?
Yes.
Thank you. Could we go to state's exhibit number 68? And what does that depict?
That is also another overall image. The angle of what you see at the left side, that little bit of the building is the auto zone.
And what road is that?
And on the right would be Craig.
Okay. And this picture is taken kind of from the point of view of where? Of who?
The two vehicles involved would be at your back. So if you were standing with your back to the vehicles, looking that way.
Okay. And where would the entrance to this, the yellow brick road be in this photograph?
The chain link fence that you see on the right, and that little blue and white and red sign above the red car on the right side of the image, that's more or less where the opening,
That's the sign for Megaphone.
yes.
States Exhibit 69. What does that depict?
Looking up Craig Street.
And
Road.
That's just moving further down toward the entrance to the yellow road, is that correct?
Yes.
State 70. And what does that depict?
As you approach the entrance to the yellow brick road.
State 71. And if you would, just explain what you're showing.
That is inside the field area, looking towards the pawn shop on the right side of the field.
Okay.
So
And
Craig Road's behind you.
And is this whole field kind of enclosed by a fence on pretty much all sides?
More or less.
Okay. State 72.
This is another angle overall of that fielded area. It's kind of diagonal across the field, so the pawn shop would be behind you and very slightly to your left. A fence line ran down the right side of the image, and that's generally facing towards Craig Road.
Okay, so this was on the opposite side of the field at a diagonal from where you took the previous picture, right?
Yes.
State 73.
Yet another overall image. This is generally in the middle of the field, slightly angled towards Craig. So the pawn shop would be on your right and Craig would be on your left.
Okay. 75.
This would be considered a mid-range photo, showing relation of items on the road next to that police vehicle.
Do you recall, or do you remember even seeing these items right here? Do you know what those are?
I believe a hat and watch.
And that car there was pretty much in the middle of the shooting scene when you arrived there, correct?
Yes.
76.
That's another mid-range image showing generally the same items from a different angle.
Okay. Do you know what these items are over here, the little white things?
Business cards that had been previously placed to mark evidence for when SLED comes.
Do you know what they were marking?
I do not recall.
Okay. 77.
Again, another angle of the mid-range showing the items on the road in relation to the vehicle.
And State's Exhibit 78.
Okay.
What does that depict?
The decedent, when we removed the yellow sheet.
And was he on his back when you arrived at the scene?
Yes,
And were his feet crossed like that when you arrived at the scene?
yes.
'79, State's Exhibit 79.
Another angle showing the decedent.
And do you recall what this item is right here? If you can see.
A cell phone.
And is that more closely shown in State's Exhibit number 80?
Close-up of the cell phone. Mid-range.
State's Exhibit 81.
The decedent's left hand, as is.
State's Exhibit 82.
The decedent's right hand, as is.
State's Exhibit 84.
That is a close-up image of multiple taser wires.
Do you recall how many taser wires he had attached to him?
4.
State's 85.
More close-up image showing wires moving up under the decedent. As the top of that image, the green was the sole of one of his sneakers.
These items running up in that direction, correct?
Yes.
And just a couple of more distant shots. 233.
Again, another overall image of the scene. A diagonal approach, so the pawn shop would be towards your right and Craig would be more so towards your left.
And State's Exhibit 234.
Another overall image, that is as though you're standing on Craig at the entrance looking towards the pawn shop.
And appears to be quite a few people around. Is that pretty representative of how it was out there when you were there?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you please answer any questions that Mr. Savage may have for you?
Yes.
Cross-examination.
Ms. On, good morning.
Good morning.
Is the officer on? Ms. On?
Yes.
I noticed you used the expression forensic.
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the jury how forensic applies to the meaning
Yes.
And how does that differ from an investigator? What does forensic mean?
Forensics is the field of science that encompasses the crime scene. So, like a crime scene investigator.
So your analysis of what took place on April 4th is a science? That's a question, or did you go to school for scientific analysis?
I've had courses.
And do you have a degree in science or some academic training that creates this scientific evaluation of the crime scene?
No.
The photographs you took that day, however, were meant to convey and make a permanent record for future use of what the crime scene looked like on the day the incident happened. Is that correct?
As close to originality.
And at the time you arrived, some 15 people had been through the crime scene. Is that correct?
I have no knowledge of how many.
You had referred at the prosecutor's request to look at the crime scene log to see what time you arrived, and it was at 10:20. Is that correct?
Yes.
How many people arrived at 10:20?
It has 5 people arriving at 10:20.
And I think that you had said that you arrived with, was it Sergeant Wyant?
Yes.
But actually there were 5 people that arrived at that time. And how many people arrived before 10:20?
$15?
And that, so 20 people were there at least by the time you started photographing the area, is that correct?
Yes.
And that includes only those who are listed on the crime scene log, is that correct?
Yes.
And you know that there, do you know whether or not there were other people who were there who were not listed on the crime scene log?
I don't know.
Now, in addition to the photographs that you have shown to the jury, you took other photographs, is that correct?
Yes.
You took many photographs in addition to those shown to the jury, is that correct?
Yes.
And in the photographs that you showed the jury, you indicated that the crime scene was defined by the yellow tape, is that correct?
I did not state that.
Was the crime scene defined by the yellow tape?
Parts of it?
Was there any part of it that was not defined by the yellow tape?
So the fence line kind of helped define the scene.
So the yellow tape, however, is utilized to show the parameters of the crime scene so that people would not interfere with that area. Is that correct?
Yes.
There's a purpose for the yellow tape,
Yes.
and that is to preserve evidence.
Yes.
Now, as you looked at the pictures that were shown to the jury, did you see people walking through the crime scene?
Parts?
In the crime scene?
Yes.
And did you keep track of who was walking back and forth through the crime scene that could have disrupted the crime scene before you took photographs?
I did not know.
Do you know if anybody did that?
I do not know.
Do you know if anybody actually physically secured the crime scene by standing there as a post or guard to protect the evidence that was at the crime scene?
I do not know.
Song, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes,
Is that a photograph that you took on April 4th?
yes,
Is that a photograph of the incident site?
yes.
We offer the evidence, defendants 60.
Any objection?
Without objection.
It's admitted without objection.
Could you tell the members of the jury, please, exactly what that picture shows?
This image is as though you're standing on Craig, facing towards the entrance of the Yellow Brick Road area, and that is one side of the big sign on the property, the Mega Pond sign. The entrance would be slightly towards your left for orientation.
Can we put the image up on the screen, please? If you would, please, using that pointer, show the jury, identify that fence line, identify where the Yellow Brick Road is, and where the entrance to the Yellow Brick Road is.
The front fence line, obviously, and then the Yellow Brick Road goes through here.
And Ms. Ong, would you, Officer Ong, would you show them where the entrance is? And would you show them where Craig Road is, even though it's not on the photograph? Where that black column is to the left would be where Craig Road. And then is the turn into the Yellow Brick Road a 90-degree turn?
Yes.
And do you have any better photograph of that area where the turn took place than this photograph?
Yes.
And what number is that, please?
State exhibit number or my photo?
Yes, is there anything that the state has put in?
There
In
was
other words,
one.
has the jury seen that?
Yes, they,
Okay, could-
I don't know what number it is.
They're right there in the corner of that landscape.
State's exhibit 7, please. As they're doing the technology, would you tell the jury what 70 is in comparison to defendant's 11, which is up on the screen?
70 is encompassing more of Craig Road, so you get a better visual of seeing the actual road and the driveway entrance to the Yellow Brick Road from generally the same angle as depicted in the image, just depicting the sign.
Do you recall the vegetation that's now shown on the state's exhibit at the entrance to Yellow Brick Road?
Yes?
Do you recall that? Are there any photographs of the vegetation, any close-up photographs of the vegetation?
No, not that I took.
If somebody had thrown something into that vegetation as they rounded that corner,
Seems facts, I know, sure.
We need to hear the complete question.
if somebody had thrown something into the vegetation, any vegetation at any crime scene of that type, would there be footprints and markings in the vegetation to show that that area had been disturbed?
The objection is
I
overruled.
can't say.
So that if I stepped on grass that is 2 feet in height, 18 inches in height, your life's experience would indicate that there'd be a mark in the vegetation from stepping on
I'm not an expert in foliage. I can't say if there would or would not be.
Do you know today whether anybody ever entered that area either before or after this photograph?
Would you say that again, please?
Do you know today whether anybody entered that area where the vegetation appears in your photograph on the day of the incident?
Yes.
Who did?
The responding officers. I mean, they went through the entrance.
I'm talking specifically about the vegetation fence line that we can see in this photograph.
I have no knowledge.
Do you have any photographs of that?
No.
Is that part of the crime scene?
Yes.
You knew that there was a chase going down Craig Street and then down Yellow Brick Road.
Yes.
Sam, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
Is that one you took?
Yes.
Is it one that was taken on April 4th, 2015?
Yes.
Does it show the car that was operated by Mr. Scott?
Yes.
We move defendant 17 to evidence at this time.
Without objection.
Submitted without objection.
If you would tell the jury what that is, please.
That is the decedent's vehicle viewed from the passenger side.
And is there anything of any evidentiary value about that photograph?
It was taken as is, how I found it, undisturbed.
And the cigarette pack, is there anything of any evidentiary value with that?
I can't say. I don't know if it came out of the vehicle or if it was previously already on the ground.
And do you know what happened to that cigarette pack?
No, I defer to SLED for that answer.
With respect to your testimony earlier about the location of Mr. Scott and the wires, the taser wires, you indicated to the jury that there were 4 wires.
For that image.
Did you mean for the jury to think that there were 4 taser wires there?
In the image, I noted 4.
And did you measure the length of those wires?
It was not my responsibility to. I defer to SLED.
But you've testified that there were 4 wires, correct?
In that image.
In fact, there were 4 pieces of the taser wire. Isn't that correct?
There were 4 wires in the image. I can't say if there were pieces or entires.
Well, it's important, is it not, for the jury to know exactly what was where, and you've introduced the fact that there were 4 wires there, that does not indicate that there were 4 full Kaiser wires there, does it?
What's your question?
The question is, do you want the jury to think that there were 4 Kaiser wires, full, unbroken wires there?
I don't know if they were full wires. You have to refer to SLED for the final assessment of that item of evidence.
But you testified.
I said there were 4 in that image.
Were there other wires that you located at other locations?
I don't recall.
So, did you look for other Kaiser wires around the crime scene?
I did not know.
Did you photograph any other Kaiser wires at the crime scene?
I don't recall.